5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You're now tuned into the 411 podcast and reading Between the Wines, powered by the Black Diamond Consultations Network. More than a podcast, this is a sanctuary for self-discovery, healing, and personal growth. Here, we explore what it means to live debt-free, not just financially, but spiritually, mentally, physically, and emotionally. Every episode is part of a journey across our weekly mentorship series: Spiritual Sundays, Mental Mondays, Transformational Tuesdays, Wind Down Wednesdays, Coaching Sessions Thursdays, and Financial Fridays. Each day holds space for wisdom, clarity, and real conversation. So grab your journal, pour your glass, and prepare to go beyond the surface. Because here, we don't just talk, we transform. And now, here's your guide through it all: entrepreneur, mentor, and founder of Black Diamond Consultations, Laren Gaines.
What's going on? Welcome on in. This is Reading Between the Wines, Wind Down Wednesday, part of the Mentorship series. This is September 24th. September is almost over. I can't believe it, but it's here. And that's kind of a good thing, because next week, I want y'all to join me the same place, same time, 4-in-1 podcast, Reading Between the Wines, This 5 Restoration Live, Part 2. Lights, camera, action. We are doing it next week, starting Sunday, right here. So we're going to have Miss Queen Dawn Spirit in on Sunday. We're going to have my friend Neil Jones Jr. in on Monday. Make sure I got my list, my lineup right. Tuesday, for Transformational Tuesday, we have author Melvin will be in the building. And then, of course, Wednesday, author/poet Birdman 313. Thursday, we have Miss Tanya, aka SOS. Friday, we have my friend Alex Coquito, all the way from Puerto Rico. And then Sunday, I am inviting each and every one of you all to join me for my masterclass, Unwrapping Financial Peace. I want to help you master holiday spending as well as your emergency savings. So if you'd like more information on how you can join me for the masterclass, please feel free to reach out to me. You can DM me, you can text me, or you can also email me for more information and visit LarenGaines.com. But before we move on with this show here tonight, I want to give a very special thank you to everybody out there who is joining. Please do me a favor. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, tag a friend, text a friend, invite them on in, because you never know what you're going to get when you come here to Reading Between the Wines. I also want to give a very special thank you to my executive producer. I want to thank God for giving me another opportunity to come out here and give you the Reading Between the Wines show. I also want to thank God for the moments that when I experience, humility, when I'm able to humble myself and understand and know that I am not this or I'm not that. I am just here. I am a servant. I am being used to be able to help somebody else break through. And I think that was one of the biggest breakthroughs within the last couple days that I had to go through, realizing that, you know what, this might just be a test. Yes, I know that this is a journey, but there is a reason why I experience some of the things that I experience. And it's not just for me. It's for the people that I connect with. Maybe somebody will learn from some of the mistakes that I've made. Maybe someone will learn from some of the things that I've been through so that you don't have to go through it as well. So stick around here long enough, and I'm sure you'll break through with some aha moments of your own as well. In any case, let's go ahead and get this thing started. I want to give a recap of the last show that I had with author Birdman 313. And we spoke to Ms. Jasmine from North Carolina. Shout out to anybody from North Carolina. South Carolina, I just call them the Carolinas. So Ms. Jasmine was married for quite some time. She says that her husband is a good man, but financially irresponsible. And I'm not going to get into the whole story. If you want to find out how we helped out Miss Jasmine, you can go ahead and check out that replay by visiting me on YouTube at Laren Gaines. You may also check me out where you listen to your favorite podcasts. Again, everything is at Laren Gaines. But one thing I will say before we move on with this, Miss Jasmine, and this goes for anybody out there who's listening, and I had to take this information as well and continue to take this information as I continue to teach others as well as get right with myself. But when people show you who they are, we really should believe them the first time, and that's from Maya Angelou. Jasmine knew that her husband had issues when it comes to finances from day one, and I know a lot of us go through this. But we just get so wrapped up and we get so trapped up in the situation in a relationship that we're in, and we say, "Oh, yeah, they'll change." Or if you were anything like me, you say, I think I can go ahead and work my little magic and help make them change. Never a good situation. Then you end up exactly going through the same thing that Miss Jasmine is experiencing, where she's basically contemplating whether she should get a divorce or not. Carrying the weight of everything, doing everything from daycare to utilities, basically covering everything while she's attached to somebody who could care less. And I think it's interesting, as I've been doing this for a couple years now, the whole financial coaching. I have several people who come to me seeking, help when it comes to their finances and budgeting and getting their money back on track. But they're carrying dead weight of a spouse who doesn't understand the importance of being financially responsible. And someone on the other end is always trying to pull through and try to pull both. And that's where I draw the line in the sand and I say that this program is not for people who think or feel that it is their job to carry the load of another human being. I have to say absolutely not to that. And I'm going to get off of this, but I just find it very disturbing when a spouse can go out and recklessly spend and so-called doing them and doing certain things that they'd like to do, not realizing that when you took those vows, two became one. So what one does, it affects the other. And then it works the other way as well. People will come to me seeking for financial coaching, and they think that if they just focus on their end, that it'll help clean up the other. It doesn't quite work that way. It's easy to get into debt, real easy to get into debt, but it's not that easy to get out. I'm going to leave it at that. Go ahead and watch that replay. Check me out at Laren Gaines on YouTube. And you can check me out on Spotify, just to name a few: Deezer, iHeartRadio, Audacity, Pocket Cast. All right. It's time to get into the song of the day. I'm not going to hold y'all. We're not going to be here that long. Song of the day: More Money, More Problems by the Notorious B.I.G., released in 1997 off of the album Life After Death. Now, I want to spend a little bit speaking about this album. Of course, I can't just, name a song like this without getting into it. But I was 17 years old when this album came out. And I remember getting on a bus, traveling all the way to Quaker Bridge Mall to get this double disc CD, which was probably like almost damn near $25 at the time. It was very expensive because I would get CDs for like $10. Talking about good CDs, no more than $15. Spent $25 for this one. And I just remember the feeling that you got once we found out that Biggie passed away. And then, of course, the album came out. It's like every time we played a record, every time we played this, it was like he was just there through the music. It was truly life after death. It really was like what the album is called, like eerie, but just so amazing as well. Whatever sadness was there in the beginning when you played the records, it sort of like almost made it feel a little bit better. I always had a problem with which disc was better, one or two. So, any fans out there of this album, The Notorious B.I.G., what he had on one, he didn't have on two, and vice versa. And I was like, wow, I wish I just had like it all on one disc. But it was two discs for a reason, and I get it. But I remember my aunt taking one of the discs because I was like, which one is better? And we would go back and forth and switch the disc. And I think it was one that she took, and she didn't want to give it back. So, but yeah, those were some good times during that. So the song "More Money, More Problems" by the Notorious B.I.G. And it goes like, which we all know this record. I don't know what they want from me. It's like the more money we come across, the more problems we see. Shout out to Miss Kelly Price for doing that hook. But when you take on the world of your friends, family, co-workers, loved ones, whoever it is, there will be more problems because we got enough on our own. But somewhere along the way, depending on how we grew up, what our household situation was like, some people become empaths, some people become people pleasers, whatever you want to call it. But we think that we have this big S on our chest, whether you want to be Superman or Superwoman, it happens. And we think that we can take on everyone else's problems, when in reality, we have enough of our own. Sometimes taking on this role may appear to be easy because we might get a little bit more money, we might get promotions on our jobs, we might fall into some good luck, and the more money ends up coming into our paycheck. But instead of the extra money going into your paychecks to our pockets, it starts to line the pockets of the other people around us. Hence, why they say the more money we come across, the more problems we see. Now, it's natural and it's the right thing to do when you want to help family members, you want to help loved ones, those close to you, friends, whoever we find near and dear to our heart. That's just a natural thing to do. However, when does enough become enough? And when will you know when it's time to pump your brakes or in a 911 situation, hit the emergency brake altogether? I've spoken to so many people who have helped and given their all. They've broken their own personal financial commitments just to do it out of these four words, these four letters, excuse me. LOVE, because I love them, because they love me. Well, we know what Miss Tina Turner says. What's love got to do with it? And then since we're talking about Biggie, we can go ahead and speak about Lil Kim. And she says, what's love got to do with it? Order 4-4 under the pillow. Absolutely nothing, because it doesn't take nothing for you to come out of your own pockets, like Lil Kim say, and be able to spend a little dough. And that's on your own situation. So for me today, I tell people close to me, near and dear to me, sometimes I can't slow down fast enough for you to catch up. And what we want in our lives, we got to see it before we see it. And it's not for everybody else to see it. And it's not for you to rack your brain, do backflips to try to make somebody else see it. As my grandmother told me, God gave it to you. He gave it to you. And what God has for you, He has for you. And that's not for everybody else. And God has given us all different visions, some greater than others, and others are to be left unseen and sometimes not even to be spoken about. Now, the artist Russ, I don't know if y'all know who he is, but he has a song called What They Want. And his record goes, what they want, what they want, what they want, dollar signs. Yeah, I know that's what they want. What they want, what they want, what they want. Y'all ain't fooling me at all. Now, we have to be very careful about the company we keep. And sometimes it could be the ones that's just so close to us, right on our hip. It could be people in our own four walls. I've spoken before about it's a shame when you wake up and you realize that you've been sleeping with the enemy. Be careful of the company you keep. We on Kim again. We talking about Biggie, so of course I'm gonna give it to Queen B. She says sometimes it's the ones that's closest to you that will stick the knife right through you. Now, I'm not talking about physically, but metaphorically. We need to stay vigilant. And like Meek Mill and my girl Mary J. Blige, you need to know who you're around. It's real. It's just real out there. And sometimes it could be family members. And I know that that's harsh. But like I said, a lot of people have compromised their own financial goals just to be able to help a family member because maybe we spoke too much. Maybe we said something that we probably shouldn't have said. Maybe we've told people what our goals are, what we've been saving for, what we've been dreaming for. And just as well as you might be happy and you might be excited, that person that's close to you might see dollar signs in another way. They might try to start to think and scheme and put a plan together of how whatever you've worked hard for, and all of a sudden they're going to reap the benefits. That's why we say you got to be very careful. But the more money you come across, the more problems you see. Song of the day, More Money, More Problems by the Notorious B.I.G., released in 1997 off of his album Life After Death. Now, tonight, this is going to be part 2 of me speaking about this winery that I went to this summer. I don't know if y'all remember, but I spoke about visiting a winery, and it was almost something like out of a horror movie. And when your boy gets a little nervous during the daytime, then it's a situation. And I went to a wine festival, and this specific winery, which is Angelica Winery in Lambertville, New Jersey, it was very hard to find. I ended up turning around and said absolutely not, because the area that it was in was very interesting. I'll put it that way. And like I said, when you get nervous during the daytime, not a good look. I know it's either Hackettstown. I believe it's Hackettstown, New Jersey. That's another spot that I try to stay away from, whether it's during the daytime. Now I know full well I'm not going there at night. But Angelica Winery is probably the first winery, and I'm sure there's some other out there that are interesting. But this one right here, Angelica Winery, if anybody visits this winery, I'd like you to let me know how you got there. That's all I have to say. I tried once. I'm not quite sure I'll try again. I had the opportunity to let the owner of the winery know how I felt at the wine fest this past weekend. And I even told him absolutely not. And I think after a while he didn't want to hear from me, but that's okay because I had enough to drink at that moment anyway. But we're saying I did pick up a bottle of wine since it is a real winery. I experienced it and see it with my eyes at the wine fest. So I decided to pick up a bottle of what appears to be as their blueberry Pinot Grigio. It's Mortilli Rossi. So we're going to get into that tonight. And then, of course, we have author Birdman 313 coming in, and we're going to continue to read from our Money Hacks book. And we're going to discuss our assignment tonight and prepare for Birdman next week, which will be live here on the show. Lights, camera, action. We're ready to go. Restoration part 2. All right. So, again, tonight I have the Angelica Winery Mortilli Rossi. This is red wine with blueberry. It was sold to me as a Pinot Grigio, a blueberry Pinot. Let me take this back. A blueberry Pinot Noir. If I had said Pinot Grigio in the beginning, I do apologize. But Pinot Noir is the dark. It's the red. Pinot Grigio is your white wine, but this is a red. So it was presented to me as a blueberry version of Pinot Noir. Again, this is in New Jersey. And the tasting note says this tangy, sweet burst of blueberry clashes with the medium body and cherry flavors of the wine to bring an intense yet not overpowering fruit flavor to your palate. So, before we get in this, I want to remind everyone that Black Diamond Consultations and Reading Between the Wines encourages responsible drinking at all times. Please be mindful that alcohol affects your spiritual, mental, physical, and financial well being. And remember, they don't call it wine and spirits for no reason. Irresponsible habits can lead to harmful consequences in each of these areas of your life. Enjoy the experience, savor the flavors, and know your limits because the best memories are made when we sip responsibly. So I have my glass here. This is called Mortilli Rossi. Not quite sure why they can't call it just blueberry Pinot Grigio, but that's just between us here. We're not going to tell anybody. This is a fruit wine, mostly blueberry, of course. And it's supposed to be a Pinot Noir, so we'll find out. It doesn't say it. The average price of this bottle is $20, and the alcohol content is about 9.96. The appearance is a dark ruby color. It has a rich berry coloring, and it's like an intense color. I will say it's an intense color, and it's probably due to the fruit concentration in it. The aromas are going to be fresh wild blueberries, red berry component, perhaps a hint of cherry, like tart cherry, cranberry, jam, some spices, maybe mint. This bottle is a mystery. I'll tell you that this bottle is a mystery. The taste, this is what they say. The taste is going to be lush and fruit forward. The blueberry leads on the palate with layers of red berry tartness and sweetness and balance. Medium bodied with a soft texture. Acidity, wow, look at that. Acidity likely plays a key role to keep the wine from being overly sweet. The finish might linger with berry skins, perhaps a slight tart edge. This pairs well with berry desserts such as blueberry tart, berry cobbler, and cheesecake. Serves well over vanilla ice cream. It goes well with mild, creamy cheeses such as brie, dark chocolates, or chocolate berry fusion desserts. And it's also just a good wine just to chill and sip on its own. So the Mortilli Rossi translates into red berries, red blueberries in Italian. Now, am I saying that right? I have no idea. I've had a couple people, wine connoisseurs, correct me with some of these words, and I'm okay with that. Experts, you can let me know if I'm saying it wrong. The Angelica Winery draws a Sicilian heritage and combines Italian style expressions with the New Jersey terrain. Again, this wine was presented as a blueberry Pinot Noir, and it was highlighted at the Wine Fest, the 2025 Wine Fest, which I attended this past weekend. It received 4 out of 5 stars, and some of the reviews say good balance of fruit, acidity, and overall drinkability, an expressive and fun fruit wine. And another review says Angelical Wines observes bold notes of black fruit and smokiness on the palate, lots of structure, but a very smooth finish. So I want to say cheers. Thank you for attending another episode of Reading Between the Wines, episode 51. We're going to get into it. I'll let you know exactly how this wine fares out. I say the wine passed the test. I do not get any Pinot Noir vibes from it. Honestly, it tastes like I'm like just drinking juice. Almost really doesn't even taste like a wine. I would say you have to be very careful with this because it does go down pretty smooth. I think the more chilled that it is, if you keep this wine super, super chilled, you're going to have a great experience with it. It goes down smooth. There's really no aftertaste, there's no afterbite. You get fresh berries. Not to sound harsh, I don't think that I would buy this wine again. I'm just keeping it real. This is not like one of my favorites where I'm like, oh, this is amazing. This is one of those wines where, it's just like they say, it is what it is. And not everything's going to please everybody. You can't please everybody. I would not give it a 4. I would give it maybe a 2.5, 3. It's okay. I'm not quite sure that the value of the wine matches up with the hype. And not to say anything bad about a winery, I'm not here to bash. I'm just here to keep it real and tell you the truth. It was very difficult to find this winery. Not user friendly. I was driving in a car for over about an hour when it probably only should have taken me 20 to 30 minutes to get there. And I plugged it in one GPS and it told me to turn left. I plugged it into the other GPS. It told me to turn right. And honestly, it was something like out of a horror movie. When people are, traveling to places that they shouldn't, like the movie Wrong Turn or The Hills Have Eyes. It's during the daytime and it's just not a good situation. So, Lambertville, New Jersey, it's real woodsy up there and hilly. And I just wasn't about all that. So, anyway, it is what it is. Let's get my special guest author Birdman 313 in.
Hey, how's it going?
What's going on?
All
How are
right,
you?
how about yourself?
Good, good. I'm doing good. I'm here. I made it.
It sound like it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that wine wasn't the best pick.
Uh-huh.
So how's it going in your area?
It is getting a little bit cooler, but still in the 90s.
Oh my goodness. Well, I will say that it's been in the 80s this week. I have had some great weather. I enjoyed my day yesterday. It was like 7 o'clock. I'm in, a tank top, and I'm like, wow, this is
Uh-huh.
amazing. September. September is almost over, and it's 80 degrees. I got the windows down, outside chilling, enjoying. I had a great day
Oh,
yesterday.
that's good. Yeah,
Yeah.
I had a great weekend. I went to Austin, hung out with some friends, shot plenty of videos. That's what I've been doing today, working on videos from Saturday night. I mean, excuse me, Sunday night. And tomorrow I'll be
Mm-hmm.
working on videos from Monday night. So
All right.
yeah,
That sounds. You know what I'm gonna be working on?
what's that?
Some rest and
I
relaxation.
heard that.
I'm looking forward to some rest and relaxation. I could, you know, big week next
Yeah,
week. Big week next week. So we're gonna have to press play and make this thing do what it do. But um, yeah, life is interesting. It comes with all kinds of punches and twists and
yes it
turns.
does. Yes it does. I mean, it was two events I went to Saturday. I mean, I keep saying Saturday, but Saturday I went over to a friend's house, and I always shoot videos of
Mm-hmm.
just him because that he likes that,
Okay.
and really didn't want to go to the. It was an open mic that evening time, but the traffic in Austin now, man, is crazy, crazy, crazy. So we just sit around his house, shot videos, and then Sunday he had it was an awards night for him. I shot video for him, took pictures, and then Sunday evening went to this place called Kick Butt, and I shot several videos of some of the performers, and it was cool. And then Monday, I just hung around. Actually, I sat around the pool and took pictures of the pool and took videos, which I'm gonna be working on that later on. But I just chilled all day till it was time to go to this spot called Fredo's, and we went there and hey, shot videos of several people. People was actually asking me would I shoot videos of them.
See,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
good. That's a little side hustle. It
oh
could be.
yeah, and I did, and I'll be like I said, I'll be working on those videos and getting the videos out to the people tomorrow. So yeah, I try to stay busy.
Yeah, yeah. You gonna have to let me know about the camera situation because I think I'm gonna be upgrading soon.
Okay,
So I'll pick your brain on that
not a
aspect.
problem. Not a problem.
Well, now I went to this wine festival. Before we get into this, I went to this wine festival on Sunday, and this is my second time attending. The first time was good, but this time it was great. There was probably like over, and I'm just guessing, maybe 15, anywhere between 11 and 15
Oh,
wineries,
okay,
and you visited each
right.
station. I think we probably only got to maybe five of them.
Yeah.
By the time afterwards, I was like, I don't know if I could even walk straight.
Wow.
And the first girl, she took two bottles and poured it into one glass and then took something else and poured it in there and called it a sangria.
Wow.
I said, "Excuse me?" I said, "Are you doing this on purpose?" I said, "You're just trying to get people messed up so they can buy your wine, right?"
Yeah.
So we started
Yeah.
had a good conversation with all of the
Well, that's
wineries, but
good.
lots of wine. Could not tell you what happened. There was a lot going on there, but I did end up coming across this Angelical winery. I don't know if you remember that story that I shared where it was a little interesting going up there.
No.
I thought it was something out of a horror
Oh, okay.
movie.
I heard you tell it earlier. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Did you ever see the movie Wax House or something?
Probably have.
You ever? Yeah, where they go drive to the little town and it all looks fake and stuff, like little
Yeah.
toys. That's what it
Uh,
looked like.
I heard
I
you
was like,
mention. You
I need
said
to get
Hacker Town, because I have
hack.
friends in Hackensack.
It's not Hackensack. It's Hackett's
Oh, okay,
Town.
okay.
There's two
Oh, okay.
H's.
Cause when
Yeah.
you said that, I'm like, I hope he ain't talking about,
No, I've been to Hackensack. I know what you
uh-huh.
talk about. That's a nice little ritzy area up
Yeah.
there. But
Uh-huh.
Hackettstown, just listen to the name, Hackett's. So when I'm sitting there driving and my GPS goes out during broad daylight and my car is like in the middle of nowhere. I've watched a lot of scary movies when I was in my day. So that's all I could think about. And I said, okay, now check
Yeah.
this out. I'm in the middle of nowhere. The GPS don't work no more. There's no phone signal.
Wow.
If if my car just ends up like dying in the middle of this road here, this reminds me of some type of movie that I've saw
Oh
before.
yeah.
So yeah, I had to get up out of Hackettstown, but to go into this winery reminded me of the same thing.
Wow.
And if you make a like I just pictured myself making a wrong turn and having a police officer pull me over and taking me to the police station. Do you know that the police station in that town, the signage on it was outdated? It looked like something from 1967.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I said oh, we got to get out of
Oh
here.
yeah.
I said, because if the police station, the local police station, doesn't even have enough funds to update their signage and make it look appropriate,
Oh yeah.
what do you think's gonna happen if you get pulled over? That I'm out of here.
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah, no, I won't go back. I won't go back there. And I tried this bottle of wine, and honestly, I wasn't really impressed. So
Yeah,
yeah, we're good on this
I
winery.
heard that.
All right, so we're gonna get into the Money Hacks book. What number you got for me today?
Oh, let me see.
We can go all the way up to 275.
I'm gonna try 65.
All right, let's see what we got here. Oh, we did that one before. 65
Oh,
we spoke about buying refurbished electronics.
okay, 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 okay. What about 45?
45. That's the first that we ran across the same thing again. I knew that would happen
Yes,
eventually.
yes, yes.
Ah, this is a good one. 45. Don't shop when you're tired. Whether you're heading to a job interview or whether you're heading to a job interview or competing in a sporting event, you want your performance to be at its very best. Why not take the same thinking to your shopping? Retail experts say that you should never shop tired and never shop hungry. That's because
Mm.
we suffer from decision fatigue. When we're tired, probably at the end of the day, we've already made thousands of decisions of every size, from deciding what to eat for lunch to where to stand on a subway platform to which pair of socks to put on. That's why you see some tech leaders wearing the same style of clothing every day. It's one less decision they have to think about, and they can focus their energy on a more important task. You may not be willing to adopt a uniform or eat the same sandwich every single day, but you can recognize when you're vulnerable to decision fatigue. It is when you head to the grocery store on your way home right before dinner time. It's when the scrolling through Instagram when you're lounging on your couch at night. If you shop when you're tired or you're hungry, either out at the store or online, you're more likely to make impulsive decisions that could lead to buyer's remorse. If you notice you're exhausted or peckish, hold off on your purchasing decisions until you feel refreshed. What do you feel about that?
Yeah, I never thought about it until you just spoke about it, but that is well, I'll go shopping when I'm tired. No way, and I don't go out looking for no restaurants when I'm tired.
Mm, I know my mom always would say, don't go to the grocery store when you're hungry
Right, right.
because you end up coming home with stuff that you don't need.
Yeah, exactly.
And then if you're anything like me back in the day, I come home with all of the stuff I didn't need and open up too much and have a little bit of everything.
Yeah. Oh
I
yeah. Oh
want
yeah.
a little bit of this. I want a little bit of that. Yeah, that's no good. No good. All right. Get on into tonight's assignment. Now, I'm thinking that this person is writing in more than one time. I don't know if you peeped it, but this is what I'm thinking. I could be wrong. I'm just thinking that it's the same person over and over again, but it's okay. If anybody out there would like to write in, you can email me at info@laryngaines.com. That is info@laryngaines.com. Tonight's assignment. What's good, fam? I'm writing in because I feel like I'm living in a generational curse when it comes to money. Growing up, my mom had debt, my grandma had debt, and now at 34, I'm sitting here with over $50,000 in student loans, credit card bills, and a car payment I shouldn't have signed up for. It's like no matter how much I make, I stay broke. When my check hits Friday, by Monday it's gone. Between helping my mom with her bills, paying child support for my daughter, and trying to keep up with my own responsibilities, I'm drowning. Mentally, it's draining because I feel like a failure, like I can't provide the way a man should. Spiritually, I keep asking God if this is just my life or is there a way out? Physically, I'm tired of hustling every weekend just to keep the lights on. And financially, man, it feels like I'll never see freedom. I don't want to pass the cycle down to my daughter. How do I stop living paycheck to paycheck and finally break free? Respect, Marcus T. from Baltimore, Maryland. I'll take that to the top. What's good, fam? I'm writing in because I feel like I'm living in a generational curse when it comes to money. Growing up, my mom had debt, my grandma had debt, and now at 34, I'm sitting here with over $50,000 in student loans, credit card bills, and a car payment I shouldn't have signed up for. It's like no matter how much I make, I stay broke. When my check hits Friday, by Monday it's gone. Between helping my mom with her bills, paying child support for my daughter, and trying to keep up with my own responsibilities, I'm drowning. Mentally, it's draining because I feel like a failure, like I can't provide the way a man should. Spiritually, I keep asking God if this is just my life or if there's a way out. Physically, I'm tired of hustling every weekend just to keep the lights on. And financially, man, it feels like I'll never see freedom. I don't want to pass this cycle down to my daughter. How do I stop living paycheck to paycheck and finally break free? Birdman, what do you have for us?
And you know what? After you start reading it, it kind of sounds familiar from, but I mean,
Yeah.
it's different parts of it that I don't remember. Hey, man, you know what? When I first read it, I was like, "Hey, dude, you know what? You act like you the only person that ever got in this type of situation." And then when I read it, I'm like, man, this was the way for a while my life was. With like he said, the loans and all. But I didn't ever have to take care of my parents like that. Yes, my mom did live with me the last 2 years of her life. When she passed away, she was 97, and she lived with me when she was 94. She was 94 when she lived with me because she couldn't live on her own no more. And even then, I didn't have to just, she didn't depend on me to pay her bills.
Mm-hmm.
And when a parent depend on their child to pay the bill, then I'm like, so what is this parent teaching their child? Because it's like, to me, it's like the mother is jealous. He already got child support. He already got a car note. He already got student loans. And I'm like, man, it seems like somewhere down the line, well, I know he said his grandma was in debt, his mother in debt. So I mean, really, he just following. He seen what they did, and I always said, man, you guys sit down You got to, but and that's when you sit down, you grab the paper, you grab a pen, and you know how much your check is, and then you need to sit down and figure out how much you can do each month or each week.
Yeah, that's that
And,
good old
and
budgeting.
yeah, and I mean, again, he wants somebody to feel sorry for him. I'm gonna be honest, I don't. you know, I mean, but the reason why I say that because I went through a similar situation, and I didn't whine to nobody about it. Hey, I just did what I had to do, and whatever got paid, and if something didn't get paid, I just said, "Oh well, I'll catch you next time." And that was, and my mom used to tell me that. My dad used to tell me that. My dad said, "You know what?" He said, "Just pay what you can." And he said, "Yeah, I know." He said, "The school loan, and that's the thing I found out too. You go out here, you go to school, and then you can't get a job that you went to school to get your degree in. And then if you do get a job, they always want to start you. It depends on who you are. They always want to start you off at the bottom. And a lot of people think because they go to school and they get a degree that they gonna start high. That's that's unreal there. And I had to learn that. But I always try to pay what I could pay. Yes, I got behind in child support sometime, but I did the best I could. And my parents even helped me with child support sometime. They didn't give me the money or give them the money. What they did was they bought clothes, made sure, when the kids came over, bought them clothes. That's how my parents have fed them and bought them clothes.
Right, right.
So, it just sounds like he, it's mismanagement, but he says he's taking care of his mother. I'm like, man, do you have any brothers or sisters? Because,
Yeah, we don't.
huh?
I said, yeah, we don't know that part, huh?
Right. And and whether you have them or not, you know, and if it kind of make me feel like if he don't take care of his mother's bills, she gonna whine to him and make him feel bad. And I admit some people who have done that before, and they was like, man, some of them said, hey man, I got to get out of town completely, get completely away from from anybody in my family because all they want is money from me, and they want me to pay the
Yeah,
bills. That's like these athletes go out here and I went and bought my mom a house. Okay, yeah, you can afford it. Or I bought my mom a car. Okay, but the average person that has a job, 9 to 5 job, they can't do all that because they got to pay their bills too. And I'm wondering, it was a couple questions that crossed my mind. Do she live with him? And that's just the thing I was thinking about.
wow. There's a lot in here. I'm gonna go right off of the path that you laid out for us. So you said that you don't feel sorry
No,
for
I
him,
don't.
and I would say, I would say that I kind of have like a bittersweet moment. I'm going to tell you where I might feel sorry. Um, I'm gonna start at the top. He says he feels like he's living in a generational curse when it comes to money. I would say you are absolutely correct, sir. That's exactly what this is. Growing up, his mom had debt, his grandma had debt, and now he has debt. More is caught than more is taught. So we don't have to teach our children how to be bad with money. We don't have to teach them how to spend recklessly. All they have to do is just basically watch us. And unless we do something different and take responsibility, most likely they are going to do exactly what we did, if not even worse. So he hit the nail on the head with that. This is where I say I would kind of feel sorry for him when it comes to the student loan
Yeah,
debt,
yeah.
because I remember about a month ago, I was having a casual conversation with somebody, and this student told me that when she graduates, and she's not even done yet, she still has, a couple more months. This is her last year in school, that she will be exiting college with over $100,000 in student loan
Ooh.
debt. Now, that's the part where I feel sorry for these people, because a lot of people sign up for this program and they're sold this dream that, we do over here in this country, that getting, a good job consists of you going to school. And if you can't afford school, then just go ahead and take out loans. So that's where I kind of feel sorry. Now, I don't know if all of this is based on student loans. I see some credit card bills. Again, the colleges will sign you right on
Oh
up.
yes.
They, yeah, so they trick you with the student loan debt, and then they get you again with the credit cards. It's like you're have no way of getting out. You're already done before you even got started. Now the car payment that I shouldn't have signed up for. Okay, now you on that with that one. That's on you. Credit card bills, I'm gonna say you on that one too, but I don't know if it was one that you got when you were in college and you got tricked, which most people do. You get that double whammy. They hit you with the 1-2 piece. Now, when you get paid on Friday. It's going by Monday. That's understandable based off of what you just said. Between helping my mom with her bills, like you said, that's a problem. And unfortunately, I have known people where their parents are not responsible. And then now the children have to go up and try to help pay bills. Well, in reality, when they get children, they're going to expect the children to do the same thing. So it's just this vicious cycle. And yes, that is the generational curse. So if Marcus doesn't do anything, when he has kids, he's going to expect them to go ahead and take care of his bills because he did it for his mom. Paying child support, you got to do what you got to do. You know what they say, if you make your bed, you got to lie in it. Well, you're going to have to lie in it. You're going to have to make your bed. You're going to have to do whatever you got to do to make that work, to take care of that child support, because we already know what the alternative is if you don't pay it.
Yeah.
It's,
No, go ahead. I'm sorry. I was just saying, yeah.
it's
Yeah.
no, yeah, it's just very interesting. You know all of the things when it comes to the mental, the spiritual, the physical, the financial. So I'm sure you listen to the show because you get all of that aspect. You want to know how to break from paycheck to paycheck and finally break free. And here's the thing, you want to help make sure that your daughter doesn't do the same thing. So that means you're going to have to start immediately to change some of your habits. And the first thing I would do is like what you said, Birdman, is by starting to focus on a budget. Get that pen and paper, figure out what you can afford to do and what you can't, and look to see what you can reduce and cut out of your life.
Yeah. Well, that's like I said, and I guess the reason why I don't feel sorry for him, because man, I was in that same situation, and I got caught up to where I had a car note, and I was paying, and I was car note. I had rent, and I had child support, and this is something that will always stay with me. I had to give up one of them. So,
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't give up my child support because it was taken directly from my check. So it was either my apartment or my car. And I had said I cannot live with my parents no more. I was like in my 30s then. And I was like, oh no, man, I can't go back there. You know, and my parents, the doors was wide open for me. I could have went back there, but I'm like, no, man, cause and I'm like, and I thought about it. I did. I sat down. I thought about it. I said, okay, it takes me less than 5 minutes to walk to the bus stop here. I go stay with my parents because my dad he wasn't gonna let me use his car and he wasn't coming to get me. That walk was 15 minutes. So I said, man, even Einstein would say, well, keep the apartment, let the car go. So I told my parents what was going on. So my dad said, so what you gonna do? I said, man, I'm gonna let the car go and keep my apartment. And my dad said, what? And he said, so you rather give, and this is how he put it, you rather give the white folks that money for the rent than to give that money to me. And I told him straight up, yep. I said, least,
That's
I said, look, Dad, I'm a grown man. I got responsibility. I got myself in this situation. So hey, I gotta figure something out. And right now, letting this car go, that was the best situation. I said, because that was freeing up $250.
mm-hmm.
I said, I'll give me another vehicle. I said, but and it might not be as good as the one I have. I said, but you know what? I said, at least I have a peace of mind. I said, because I got all this furniture. I said, what am I supposed to do with this furniture? Oh, sell it. I'm like, man, you know what? Because I had an apartment, I had bought all the furniture. And I'm like, nah, man, I'm going to stay in this apartment. And you know what? You and mom, y'all need the house to yourself. Me and my sister were grown and we don't need to be around. And then, I mean, hell, I couldn't. And at the time when I was smoking weed, I couldn't smoke weed around there. So I'm like, no, man. I said, hey, and he was really upset about it because he was looking for my money.
Yeah, sometimes they say that when families stick together, they succeed. And there are certain cultures where that is acceptable for you to stay, at home.
Right,
And in the Bible, I believe that they have an example of, them staying at home until they're in their 40s.
right.
Until they get married, they stayed home. So
And
I
then,
get it.
plus, the kid, I would get the kids on sometime I would get them on the weekends, sometime I wouldn't. I wanted to set an example for them. I'm like, hey, you know what? I got my own place, so y'all can come over here. Because
Right.
instead of being around your grandmother and your granddad, and and a lot of people say, hey, they say, I really don't blame you. you know. And at the time, my ex, she was like, "Oh, I'm gonna break you where you're gonna have to go live with your parents." I said, "That will never happen." I said, "Cause I'll quit this job, go get me another job, and you won't get no child support at all." I said, "Now smoke on that one." And she didn't say. She heard her husband didn't say nothing. They said, "Well, we're gonna have your BS, put in jail." Well, have me put in jail. You damn sure won't get nothing in.
I know what you're
So,
talking about. Listen, I just had this. Yeah,
that's why I
go
said
ahead.
I don't really feel sorry for him. And I would just tell him just like it is, man. I'm like, man, what bills your mother has that you got to pay? Wait a minute, you got to pay her rent and her light bill and her food. Now that's ridiculous. There,
Yeah, that's a problem. Okay, like you said, that's probably one of the main red flags right there. Taking care of people that you
yeah,
shouldn't. And in this case, this is his mother. You have to worry about taking care of yourself first. And apparently, right now, you can't even take care of yourself first, being in over $50,000 worth of
right,
debt.
right,
And we don't know what that credit card bill is. We don't know what is on that credit card bill. And a lot of times it comes down to needs versus wants. Like, do you need this or do you want it? And a lot of times the things that we want will get us into some trouble. Like, you didn't have to go out and have fast food 6 out of the 7 days a week. You chose to do that. and as a result you wasted your money, and then now at the end of the week you're sitting here looking crazy because you could have went to the grocery store, you could have meal prepped, you could have done something.
Yeah,
Did you have to go to the movies, or could you have just settled with watching something on Netflix?
exactly. So that's like I said, man.
What?
Tell you when that's the part when I seen that taking care of your mother. And I'm like, oh, okay. I scratch my head. Like I said, my mother, when she come to live with me, because she had to go. She had to go. We had to do this. It was doctor's order. She had to go to the nursing home, and she was there for 2 weeks. And I said, nah, man. I said, she coming home, man. I said, she can't stay here. So she came and she lived with us for 2.5 years before she passed. And I told her, I said, hey,
And,
you know what? I said, hey, I said, go in there. I said, that refrigerator. Nah, I didn't want her to cook because she would start cooking. She would go lay down. So I said, don't cook. I
mhm.
said, one of us will cook for you and we'll have enough food. And, if you want to warm something up, we have this microwave. And, that was just a thing. And she came and like I said, she lived 2.5 years, but I just had to make sure she paid her bill because it was always coming out of her money. And she just said,
Mhm.
hey, just
Mhm.
make sure. I said, yes. And that's what I did. I made sure her bills got paid, which once she moved in with me, she eliminated the rent that she was paying at from the, what you call it. And I said, hey, this is how it's gonna be. And she was like, okay, thank you. And then, cause she asked my sister, and my sister was like, oh nah, let bro take care of you. Nah, I can't be putting up with you taking you to the doctors when you have a pump. Plus I live upstairs and you can't really walk upstairs. She had all kind of excuses. And I told her, I said, you know what?
Yeah.
I said, I got you on that. I said, you ain't got to worry about it. I said, something ever happened to me, I'll go and put myself in a nursing home before I come stay with you, because I already see how you are. And 'cause I always said, I don't want to live with any of my kids because I don't want them to think that they have to watch over me.
Yeah, a lot of people feel that way. But, and I know what you're saying, but I will say spiritually and
Yeah,
biblically, we're supposed to take care of our
exactly.
parents.
But hold
So,
up. You
not
saying
that
it, yeah,
you,
biblical, yeah, that only if it's not putting yourself in a bind. Hell, I mean, I done got paid on a Friday and was broke on a Friday. So hey, what he talking about? He got paid that Friday and that Monday he was broke. Hey man, I done got paid on a Friday, and by the time I got home, I'm broke.
I know what you mean.
So I mean, that's why I say I don't feel for him. Let that car go. Go
And
get you a cheaper car.
yeah, that probably would be the first thing, is to take care of that car. And when I say we're supposed to take care of our parents, I mean, as at once we
Yeah,
were infants and we couldn't fend for ourselves. So once your parents get to the point where they can't fend for themselves and they can't do as what they normally would do, that's when we're supposed to kick
right,
in.
right, right,
Now, we don't know if his mother is willing and able to work, if she's able to
right.
do so or not. And that's probably a situation, because looking at this at 34 years old, I don't think that she's really that old. Again, I don't know what the situation may be. We only just looking at it from a surface
Right.
level. But it sounds like she could probably get out there and do something and make her own money. And she's not.
Exactly. Well, I look at okay, yeah, he's 34. I would at least say she's in her 30s. You know,
Yeah. He's 34, so she must be
yeah,
what,
yeah,
50s, right? Yeah. hmm So yeah, I would basically back it up. Car will be the first situation. You're sitting there paying for a car that you shouldn't have signed up for. Well, then we're gonna need to sell that, and we're gonna need to do something to make sure that that goes away. You could save on monthly car payments. You probably can save on car insurance
Exactly.
as well. Student loan debts. There's all kinds of programs where you can get into to regulate that. You're gonna have to pay them back their money. This is one type of debt that is not forgivable.
Yes.
So no matter what you do,
Yeah.
yeah, they
Yeah.
want their money.
And see, and then also what he can do is, I know it's not. I did it, but I ain't had no choice to do it. And when he get his income tax check, just like, hey man, y'all take the income tax check and just pay. Hey man, for 10 years I didn't get no taxes because I owed child support, I owed school loan, and they was actually splitting it. And so then I'm like, okay, so that's
Mm.
how we gonna do it. That's how we gonna do it. So they got, each one got a lump sum of money. I'm like, cool. I was happy with that.
That's one of my money hacks as well that I teach. That when you get income tax money or you get bonuses or any type of extra money that is not part of your regular paycheck,
Yeah,
you are to act as if you don't have it
right.
and use that to help get you in a better position.
And once I got caught up with child support, once I got caught up with the student loans, hey man, I started getting, my income tax checks, and I could spend it the way I wanted to spend it. But hey, there, like I said, then he said he's praying, and I'm really like, well, I hear this because like when I went to college, like I said, I went to a Methodist college, and I've always heard this. It depends on what you praying for and how you pray for it.
Mm.
I've always heard that, and I'm like, ooh, that makes a lot of.
I mean, the good thing that I like about this is that he's concerned about his
Yeah,
daughter, concerned about what he can do to break this generational curse. And like I say, the first thing is getting up and taking responsibility for yourself, not responsibility for everybody else. You have an obligation to yourself and your daughter at this moment first, because if you don't take care of yourself, how can you help your mom? How can you help your daughter? How could you help anybody
right.
around you?
And I'm not,
So
I'm not,
he
I'm
has to
not,
take
I'm not,
responsibility.
being mean when I said that. I wonder what his mother built, or I'm just saying, it just, I don't know, man. It's, or what he could do, or what he might have to do is move his mother in with him, and then that makes the house bill and the light bill, utilities. He got, you got to sit back and think about something. You know, okay, just say, Mom, I'm gonna get a bigger place. You can come live with me to save, and maybe that may save him maybe $100 or a little bit more. But hey, that is better than she living in one place, he living in one place. Because actually, it sounds like he paying money. Like I say, he paying child support over here. That's one household. He paying, his mother's. That's another household. Then he got to pay his own. That's three households.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a lot.
That's all I'm saying. I'm
Mm.
not, yeah, because like I said, hey, I was fortunate that my parents, even though they got up in the age, they could take care and pay their bills, and you know, they ain't asked me for, no money, help them pay no bills. They sit down, they paid what they did together, and then when my dad passed away, I just sit down and I told my mom, I said, this is what you need to worry about. Let that cable go. You don't need the cable because you only watch one channel anyway, and that's on regular TV. And I did. I told her. I said, hey, I said, matter of fact, you know what? You probably need to get out this house. I said, because the light bill, the water bill, and I mean, she was paying to have the grass. When I wasn't around, she was paying somebody to cut the grass. I said, hey, all that. And then she said, okay, then I'll listen to you. I'm like, yeah, because she was arguing with me, and then we found out other things, and so I moved into a little smaller place, and she was like, wow, I didn't realize how much money I would have left over. I'm like, yeah,
Yeah, yeah. You want to know what my favorite phrase is as I continue to progress in life is less is more. See, we get tricked into thinking that having all of the gadgets, the bling, the this, the that, the next, the other, that's it.
right,
But the trick to it is less is more. And I learned
yes,
that
yeah,
you will have a better quality of life when you realize that less is more and you don't have to do and keep up with this one, that one, the next one, and the other.
right. And I mean, I've always been the type. Yes, I always wanted to, like I always wanted to just, the speed car, but I couldn't afford it. So I'm just like, okay, that's just something I always want. I can't have. I
Uh,
always,
Want
yeah.
versus a
I
need.
said I always wanted a big old house. Like maybe 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, swimming pool, and but I couldn't afford it. So you know what? That's another thing in my dreams. I mean, and,
Yeah,
and, and
yeah,
and
I
sometimes
know
that's
what you
why
mean.
I be, in which I can say my younger sons, they they do handle money a little bit better because they seen how I struggle. That's the one thing we always talk about.
Hmm.
And they said, "Dad, we seen how you struggle, and we want to struggle like that." And I'm like, "Yeah, man." I said, "Y'all know it." And then they always say, "Hey, Dad, you did what you could do with what you had." Because sometimes I'll tell
Right.
them, "Man, I wish I could have did this and did that." They say, "Oh, you did do that. Hey, you were still around, Dad. You didn't leave us."
Mm. I mean, that's so profound too. When Marcus is sitting here speaking about, you know, how does he not pass this down to
Yeah,
your children, to his daughter? There's two ways that this can go. I've seen this. Um, Either your children will continue to do exactly what you do, and in most cases, they'll do it a step further than you, and it will continue and continue and continue until the whole entire generation wipes
right.
itself out. That's one scenario. Then there's the other scenario where one child is born and looks at the situation, knows that it's wrong, and says, "Absolutely not, I refuse to do
Exactly.
that." And they break the generational curse just from knowing from day one that that's just not what is
Right.
supposed to happen.
And he
So,
and to
may
me, and then because it sounds like a lot of the things, it sounds like he wants to party a little bit and he can't. And
I,
sometimes, man, hey man, going out to eat and getting these expensive dinners. If you can't afford it, hey man, don't, because all you gonna do is you're gonna rob Peter to pay Paul.
yeah, I'm curious to see what's on the credit card bills. I mean, if I looked at the statement, this story could,
Yes,
take a turn.
yes,
So we don't know
that's
what's on
true. And
there.
and that's what I was thinking. Now I'm like, okay, he probably been like, going out, taking females out, taking his buddies out, knowing that when he wake up the next day, he's still gonna have that same problem, being broke. And
Mm.
some people just, I don't know, man. Some people they're not happy unless they broke.
Wow, that's a good point. They get a whole bunch of money and they spend it and spend it
Yeah,
and
they're
spend
not
it.
happy until they broke.
Yes.
And you know, and it was a time when I had that mindset. Like I said, I've been through so many different phases in life, and it was like, hey man, I'm not happy until I'm broke. Because then, if somebody asks me for money, I don't have it. But I've never been the
Mm,
one. I don't never been the one to loan no money out. Like, my kids, they will say, my boys rather, they'll say, Dad. I say, hey, don't ask for no loan. Just say, hey, you need this and you need that. I said, because you're not gonna pay me back. Because I'm your dad,
right.
you're not gonna pay me back. And I don't want you to pay me back, man. You know what? I'm glad I'm in a situation that if you need 10, 20, 30, 40, $50, I can give it to you and it's not hurting me.
Right. That's when they say, do you have when you say you don't loan money? I listened to one podcaster say, if you ask me to borrow money, if I sh- this podcaster said, if I have it to give, I'll give it to you. But if I don't have it to give, that means that I won't give it to you. And that also doesn't mean that I don't have it. I just don't have it to give
Yeah,
to you. Like, you got to be very careful when we have our goals, we have our financial commitments. We can't be digging into our emergency fund just to help somebody else out because, someone in your family or someone close to you know that, you have an extra stash of money, you have an emergency fund. That's what that is for, an emergency. You asking for money so you can get sneakers or you can pay your cell phone bill or whatever jam you got yourself
yeah,
into, that is not an emergency.
exactly.
So yeah, knowing what the situation is at hand and basically looking at your own situation and say, do I really have this to give? And like you said before, when you give, you do it from the heart, expecting nothing in return. If you give somebody some money and you're going to be pacing back and forth, questioning, ringing their phone, texting them, asking them when they're going to pay you back because you need this money to go ahead and take care of whatever bill you have or what you need to do, then you're in the wrong because you should have never lent them the money to begin with because you didn't have it to give
Exactly.
to them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I mean, like I
absolutely.
said, there were times when, hey man, I've had people to ask me. I'm like, man, I got my light bill. Oh, you'll get it in time to pay your light bill. Ah, nah, man. Oh, no.
Yeah, we ain't
Yeah,
playing that game. We are
yeah,
not playing that game.
I'm like, nah. I said, well, and a lot of time I tell them, hey, I already done sent, I already done sent the money off, just so they won't keep
Right.
asking. So,
Hmm. I know that's right. I remember I loaned money to a friend, and it was only $20. This was back in the day, and when it came time for me to get paid back, that didn't
right,
happen. And then I learned my lesson about lending money out. But then also, my mentor told me most recently that when you give it from the heart, expecting nothing in return.
exactly, exactly.
And when you can't do that, then you ain't in the business to be giving out
Right.
nothing.
And I'm and it was only one time, and did this show you, this, I used to do restoration work, and we was in no, we was in Akron, Ohio, doing a job, and the guy that was supposed to be giving us our per diem money, he had all type of excuses. I I had my payroll check, I had got paid, and I didn't bring all of it. Wouldn't I just brought some of it? And so we went out to eat, and there was some people. They said, "Hey man, you're not eating." I said, "Well, I'm not hungry." And dude said, "Nah, man." He said, "Take his order." It wasn't that I wasn't hungry. It's just that I didn't have enough money. And he said, nah. And they did it like
Hmm.
that. Soon as I got my per diem, I gave it to him. No, 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 man, give it to me when you get straight. I'm straight. I'm already straight here, man. And I paid him back. And he was like, man, I don't, you know what? I don't have too many friends like that. I said, well, hey, man, I don't like for nobody to be walking around telling everybody, oh, you know what? I loaned him some money, and he don't want to pay me back.
Exactly. I know what you mean.
And like I tell my
Mm.
boy, like I tell one, he'll say, "Well, Dad, my phone is turned on. How much your phone bill?" No, Dad, no, man, you need your phone on because hey, man, I be trying to get hold to you. Your mom, when you leave the house, because she is, her health is not the best. And I said, we need to be able to get hold to you, because he lives there with us.
Yes.
So I don't, and, it's been time when he said, well, I need this amount for my phone. I mean, okay, then, whoop, whoop, Cash App. Hey, man, go get your phone on.
Yeah, that's like a staple. Like nowadays, like you got to have that phone,
Yeah,
phone and
yeah,
internet. That's a need. Those are necessities nowadays. Whoever thought that internet, having internet connection, being able to connect to the world, will be a necessity, but it
yeah,
is.
yeah, for real, it is.
Hmm.
And I mean, and like I said, and I know a lot of people. Oh, I don't want to learn how to use the internet. Well, you better, because if not, you're gonna be lost in the dark.
I had that same conversation this past weekend about social media and what certain apps and things you should, at least be familiarized with and know how to navigate. But again, some people don't want to, and you can't go back and forth with people. So, but there is a such thing, like you just said, being called left behind.
Yeah, but and like I said, man, I'm just like I said, after talking about it, after I heard you read it, because when I read it, it didn't dawn on me until you made that comment about, oh, I think we did this one before, and that was, oh man, that was way back when we done this one. And then when you start
Mm-hmm,
reading it, I'm
mm-hmm,
like, you know what? That do sound familiar. Some of it sounds familiar, and
mm-hmm,
and
mm-hmm.
I mean, you can't look for a handout either, and that's what it sounds like. Almost he's looking for a handout.
Yeah, because it seems like his whole, mom, grandma
Yeah,
in debt. And if the grandma was in the debt, maybe the mother was paying for it. And now that the mother is in the debt, he's expected to pay for it. So that could be naturally what he's looking for. Okay, so they always had somebody helping and take
right.
care of them. Now, he probably might be looking for it, but then realizes, wow, I'm going to be putting this pressure and this burden on my daughter, and I don't feel that I need to do that. I feel like I need to take responsibility in this and clean this up and
Yeah,
fix this up.
but all I could all I would tell him is don't it won't last forever. you know,
Yeah, winter always turns to
yeah,
spring.
hey, look here, man. You got to deal with it. It don't last forever. Okay, man. I would, and I, man, I what happened to me was we went in. Me and my ex went in because all the kids was grown and she still wanted child support money. And I stopped paying. I'm like, whoa, hold up, man. She's still paying. So we went in, we talked to a mediator. And before we went in, I was sitting down and I was looking at my phone and she looked at it and she said, oh, she said, I must have made you bald headed, go bald. And I looked at her, I said, oh, you didn't
Mm.
stress me out. If that's what you thinking, you know, So we went in, and then when the mediator said, I said, "Hey, look here, man." I said, "I know I haven't sent nothing to y'all." I said, "But you see this bag right here?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "It's all receipts. You want to look at it?" He says, "All receipts of me and my parents has done for these three kids." And the guy said, he looked at her and he said, "And you want to complain?" And then she said, "Well, our youngest daughter." She's in college. And he said, yeah, well, how old is she? He said, oh, she 20. He said, wait a minute. And I said, the oldest one, he had, at the time he was locked up. I said, he been there. She said, oh, he only been there like 2 years. I said, I looked at her. I said, man, he been there 10 years. He kept catching her
Mm,
lies. He said, oh, he said, you know what? He ain't got to pay no more money to you. He said, I see where
wow.
this going. And so then he said, either you sign the papers or he said, he just ain't going, I'm not going to have this man paying for 3 kids that are grown. One of them haven't been living with you for 10 years and you still want to collect for him? And so like when
Mm,
she signed the paper and he said, I put it like this. He said, I'm gonna let you know now, once you sign these papers, you can't go back and try to recoup. And matter of fact, the money that he sent in, because I had lost my job, I had got a part-time job, and he said the money that he had sent in, I'm giving it back to him. And she, no, you can't do that. Like that. No. He said, we didn't know that. And I showed him the check stuff. I said, man, she getting $1 more than what I bring home. And
wow.
huh?
It's a
And it got
it,
reversed. And
good.
man, that was like and when he said y'all could go, man, she speeded out so bad. She turned around, looked at me, man. She called me all kind of name, and people were sitting in the office and they was like, yo, bruh, said you must have won. He said, go, ooh, and this one female, she was like, dang, you that bad? I'm like, hey man, I said that's what She said, I know. Said we always say the man is the bad part, but we don't never think about it's us sometimes. And this one guy
Huh.
say, hey baby, you single? Talking like that, man. And
Mm,
hey man, she was hot, man.
I would say it's a game changer once you can clean
Right.
up and get certain things to help you get back on your feet.
Yeah.
True game
Because
changer.
it was little by little, like my school loan got paid off. And so like when I got my unemployment, I mean when I got my taxes, that money I was sending there started coming to me at the end of the year. And then once I got
Right.
that straightened out by child support, you know, that was gone. So I didn't have to worry about that no more.
Right.
And that's all
Right.
I can say is he's yeah, like you said, he said he got a car that he shouldn't have got. Well, I meant, it'll probably go on your record if you return it, but hey, man, at least you have some extra money. And
I
like I
know that's
said,
right.
I had a choice to make one time, and I tell, hey man, y'all come in and do say, well, we're gonna come and get it. Okay, it's sitting out there. You want me to leave the key in the car?
Exactly. I've done that before
You
too.
know, yeah.
Yep. Come
If you
get it.
want to, hey, matter of fact, you coming tonight to get it? Hey, cause I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna unlock it and put the key. You know,
You know what? I called them and said, "Where's the address? I'm gonna come bring it to you."
yeah. Hey,
I'm gonna come bring it to you. They said, "No, you can't do that."
yeah.
I said,
And,
"Okay,
and
all
guess
right."
and
I
guess what?
gave
Two
you the
days
option.
later, it was gone. I'm like, oh well. Let me see.
I remember it was so bad that every time I turned a corner, I would pray that they came and got it. And then one day it finally, yeah, I sat at the red light every time and I turned right. And I said, now God, when I turn this corner, please let this car be gone. I did that for a while until one day I turned a corner and it
Yeah.
eventually was gone. They could
Yeah,
come
but
get this.
you know what? I was happy. I said, okay, then I know because I didn't. That was a car note I didn't have to worry about. That was extra money for
Mm-hmm.
me to stay in my apartment. And yes, when I went to the grocery store, I would catch the cab, but I didn't care.
Right, right, right. Well, I think that based off of our life experiences and some of the opinions that we put out there, I think that's more than enough to be a starter, at least for Marcus to be able to
Right?
fix this. or not fix it, but the right word is to turn some
Right.
things around. But yeah, I'd say go through the top to bottom, like you said. You said get a notepad, figure out what you can afford, what you can't afford, figuring out your needs versus your wants. Do you need this? Is this going to make or break you? That's what a need is. I need this because if I don't get it, it's going to break me and it's going to cause me to have something completely different based off of
Right.
what I started with. Is this a need or is this a want? Do you just want it? Like, you don't need to eat out 6 times a week. You want to, but you don't need it. And those wants will get you into trouble. You don't need to do extracurricular activities, aka smoking weed and drinking and partying. That's not a need, but you
Yeah.
want to. And because of that want, that is going to potentially get you into some trouble. You don't need to have the flyest brand new Jordans as soon as they come out. That is not a need, that is a want. And because you want that, that is going to put you into some sort of financial
Right.
strain.
And
I
if he got a
list
woman that he got to spend money on, ooh man, it's time for her to go. It's time for her to,
that is
you
a
know,
want.
he need to
Yeah,
find
yeah,
a, you
you
know, and I always say, hey man, find somebody who wants you for you. And you know, even if y'all just go to the park and she's happy with you just going to the park. And it's very few. Well, I haven't found. I ain't gonna say very few, but I know there. Well, I am gonna say very few women that just as happy say, "Hey, let's go to the park," and they're happy with that. We don't have
right.
to go out and eat at whatever expensive restaurant there is, so you can go back and tell your friends. You know, you don't
Hmm.
have to go and get that expensive cell phone and just tell your friends, "Oh yeah, I just went and got the new iPhone." I mean,
Exactly.
there's a lot of things, and like I said, he needs counseling. He needs counseling as far as on paying his bills and getting that all straightened out because right now he's really hurting himself.
Right. Everything starts with self. Yeah. Hmm. If you'd like to chime in, ladies and gentlemen, and let us know, again, we put it out there, we let you know how we feel about it, but someone out there might feel differently about the scenario. Please feel free to text us 609 200 1098. That is the official 411 podcast Reading Between the Wines hotline. You may also email at info@laringgaines.com as well.
Yeah, because impressing your friends that ain't. I'm sorry,
It
that
ain't
ain't
it.
it.
Yeah, that ain't it. Yeah. Yeah. No, thank you. I mean, we all live and we
Yeah,
learn. I get it
yeah,
today versus yesterday.
yeah. I mean, there were some things that I did. If if I had to do it all over again, I'm like, nah, I wouldn't do it. I'd went a different route, and I've never been. I mean, I've went out a few times, and all it took me was one time, one time to go out and say, you know what, this ain't even your speed. you know, because I know
Right.
I did. Me and a friend, we went out to a club that won back then. It was the Houston Oilers. One the Houston Oilers had. It was called World Champions, and we went up in there, and he was like, "Hey man, I don't know about you, but I can't really afford this." He said, "I can afford one drink." And I said, "Look here, man." I said, "You get that drink and you sip on it all night long." I said, "Cause I can't even, And then a female actually came up to us and talked, and the first thing she said, "Hey, which one of y'all can get me some cocaine?" And my friend, he said,
Ugh.
"I know damn well I'm in the wrong place now." And hey, man, we left. We didn't stay long. We actually left, and I had never went back to it again.
Mm, I know that's right. That's why they say stay in your
Yeah,
lane.
stay in your lane. And the only reason why I got in, I didn't have to pay like he had to pay because I used to DJ, so some of the people knew me, and I told them who go ask them. I said, hey, I DJ sometimes at some of the club. And the dude went and they said, oh yeah. He said, oh yeah, you can come on in. Your buddy has to pay. I'm like, hey man, I tried. I said, oh, he can't get it on, on my word alone. Oh no, he has to pay. I'm like, oh okay.
Hmm.
And then we found, and then when I told him, he was like, "Oh man, I wish I had known that, man. Both of y'all could have got in." And then he said, "Hey man," he said, "I might have you to come out here to DJ one night." I'm like, "Yeah, okay, man." And guess what? Guess where I parked my vehicle at? Because I had an old. At the time, I had See, what did I have? I had old Cutlass, beat up Cutlass.
I knew. Why did I knew you were going to say that? Oh my
Yeah,
goodness!
and I parked it way down where nobody could see us when we got out.
I used to do the same thing. Down the street
Yeah.
and around the
And
corner.
then that's when I said, you know what? If I got to do all of this, I don't need it.
I know that's right. I know that's right. Wow. Yeah, we definitely. I think we did a great job of providing some different options out there. I think we did a great job of nailing that tonight.
Yeah. Well, everybody got different opinions. And,
Yeah.
some may say, oh, your opinion, you're biased and blah, blah, blah. But, like I said, I've lived that lifestyle. And I'm talking about I was making man, like I said, I have a degree, and I couldn't get in nowhere. And if I did get a high paying job, they were like, "We need to see, your transcript." I'm like, "Okay." When I have the transcript, oh, your school is not accredited, so it's just like it's just like you having a high school diploma. So then, therefore, I got paid like that, and I'm like, oh man, and I said, well, at least I have a job. I had to look at it like that. That's how I looked. I said, well, at least I have a job. And it was hard, man. And I tell people, I said, man, you take out these loans, you go to school, take out these loans, because they always tell you, oh, to get a good job, you need a good education. That is not always the case.
I know that's right. Yep.
And I spent more time working in a warehouse and working construction job than I did in the field that I got my degree in.
Mm-hmm. Isn't that funny
Yeah,
how that
because
happens?
I couldn't make, they was like, okay, oh, your degree is not, accredited, so we can't pay you the top dollar. And I'm like, oh man.
And you got to be careful too, because more is caught than more is taught. Like I said, and I'm not gonna. I don't want to beat this uh, scenario down, but majority. I will tell you this. You know that majority of the high-paying doctors and lawyers in this country, a lot of them are in debt or live from paycheck to paycheck. Just like when I spoke about it at the top of the show, more money, more
Yeah,
problems. Just because you make more money, if you don't do the right things with your money, you're still going to have an issue, a
exactly.
situation. And lawyers,
Yeah.
doctors, people who make lots of money, six figures, a lot of them still live paycheck to paycheck, and a lot of them are in debt because they haven't figured out how to handle their money properly. You make more money, but you got more bills,
And
you
you
got
know
more
what?
issues.
They also have school loans that they're paying on also.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
School, and I know down here now they're telling people to go to trade schools instead of going to a 4 year college. Go to a trade school and you can get a good job and you get good pay.
Yeah, they're
Yeah,
switching it up
yeah.
now.
And
Yeah.
I'm like, man, I remember coming out of high school. Get your high school diploma, you can get a good job. Okay, that didn't work. Go to school and get a 2 year, from 2 year, from college. That didn't work.
Yeah,
Go 4 years. Now,
associates.
now it's like
Hmm.
my field is social work or social science, and just to be a drug counselor, I would have to have my master's degree just to make 30,000 a year.
Mm, yeah,
Yeah,
that's
and
something
I'm like a
else.
master's degree. When we lived in Florida, I was actually a drug counselor, but I got paid, the lower. Oh, if you go get your master's degree, man, I'm not trying to take out no more loans.
Exactly. That's the trick right
And so
there.
like I could never get that high paying job. And then when I came here, they was like, "Oh well, it's oh man, it's the place is called Takata. I can't think of what Takata stand for. And even though you have a bachelor degree or a master degree, you got to go for I think 2 years to get this certificate just to counsel, even though that's what you study for."
Mm, yeah, I don't know. I listen, when I got out of school, I stayed away and I ran immediately. I didn't want to go back. And then when I did go back, I got myself into these little certificate programs and I dreaded it the entire time. Like, why
Yeah,
did I do this? And I would continue to like try to sign myself up for these little online
yeah,
courses, these little certificate programs, and every single time that I was in them, it was like pulling teeth
yeah.
just to get out.
That's funny you said that because of course, I went to ITT and I got a 2 year degree. Couldn't even get a job, man, nowhere. Couldn't even get a job, and I'm like, why did I go for 2 years? And then we had an
Mm,
instructor that he said, "Oh, this company I know." He said, I think he worked for this company, and he said they're hiring. And I'm like, yeah. So but everybody in his class is working on a 2 year degree. He said, he said, I can bring y'all, y'all can go online, fill out the application. He said, but you need really a 4 year degree. They'll hire you at a 4 year degree. There were some people who already had the job, and the job said, well, you need to go for 2 years to get this 2 year degree so we can pay you up higher. So that person, everything is cool. But now you got other people saying, you think you can get me in? And one guy did
right.
this one guy like that. And the guy said, "Oh yeah, man, I can get you in." And supposedly they became cool. And he was like, "Man, I'm gonna have a 2 year degree. I ain't taking nothing less $18 an hour." I said, "Well, you won't be working on no computers then." And sure enough, when we graduated, and he called the guy about it, the guy wouldn't even answer his phone.
That's
Yeah, and he said, "Man,
craziness.
I helped this guy." And I said, "Hey, man," I said, "I was trying to tell you, man. I said, man, I went to all kind of places. I went to these little mom and pop shops just to, say, hey, and they would tell me, oh, you have too much experience." I said, "Only a 2 year degree," but I also had a certificate for computers, and I had been working in that field too, as like I would clean parts, and then we would test the parts, or we would put the parts in the computer, but we mostly I did was testing the parts to make sure they were good. And one company said, "Oh, one company, yeah, they said you got too much experience." I went to the next one, called them. I said, "Hey, I put an application in." "Oh, you don't have enough experience." And that's how it was going back and forth. And then I sit back and I'm like, man, you know what? Here we go again. I done went to school, got a loan, and I can't get a job. So I went up to the school. I told them what was going on, And they said, okay, well, go check this place out. I went, checked the place out, talked to them. They said they were going to hire me. I'm like, cool. Finally landed me a job. I'm still waiting for that phone call. That was like, that was like 7 years, 8, 9 years ago, man.
Mm. Yeah, I say that's why when it comes to schooling and it comes to stuff like that, do whatever
Yeah.
works for you, but just be very cautious with that student loan debt because that will get you into a situation.
Yeah, boy. And I tell people that, man, if you can go to school without getting a school loan, hey, you good. But if you got to take out
Yeah,
a loan, oh man, because like I said, I had one when I came out, and this was back in the '80s when I found when I came out in the '70s, late '70s, like, and in the early '80s, they sent me what was for my student loan, and I was $10,000 in debt. So they was like, just send us
mm,
$10 a week. I mean a month. And I was doing that, and I'm looking. I'm like, wait a minute, ain't nothing happening. I don't see
yeah,
nothing moving. And what
mm,
was going on was they tell you to send just the smallest amount. It's like a credit card, and then interest grows on it, and you're right back at the 10,000. I sent 10 in, or right back at the. I'm like, man, this is not working.
right, right, right.
And a lot of people don't.
Yeah,
A lot
that's
of people
something
don't
else.
know that when, especially credit card and school loan, when you send a minimum, you hurting yourself.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, we gonna learn all about this during my master class as I get into it. It's not this weekend; it's the following weekend, which is October 5th. So yeah, anybody out there listening, if you want to find out more about emergency savings, saving that little nest egg, getting that cushion together, saving it for that rainy day, as well as focusing on holiday spending as well, you can sign up for my masterclass and stay tuned for more information on that. But that is a good point when it comes to the student loan and interest, credit card debt, all of that great stuff. We're going to continue to talk about that. Now, now's the segment where we're going to get into the burning question. And I have a question for you, Birdman, before we get out of
Yeah.
here. The question that I have for you tonight is if debt has been passed down through your family, which I'm not sure if it has or not, but if it has been passed down, and just think about this in general, it doesn't have to be you. We can think about tonight's scenario. If debt has been passed down through your family, how will you be the one to stop the cycle and leave wealth, not worry, as your legacy?
Wow. Well, like I said, I just sit. I get tired of it, and I sit down and I would just go over what I'm paying out, and just have to cut back on something because I, like I said, I've done it more than once. Where I just sit down and I wrote down how much my bills are, which bills have to be paid. Because at the beginning of the month hurts a whole lot of people because that's the rent. you know, that may be the light, water.
Mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm.
I've always, if I had a car note, I always try to have it, like the third week. That's when I have to pay it. So you just had to sit down and really, man, just go over all the things. And for
Yeah.
me, that's how I would. Well, because I did, like I said, I did it in the past where I just sit down and I wrote down everything and I put how much it was, and I looked at how much my check was going to be, and I'm like, okay, this is what I can take out. That's the only way you could do it. I did. And don't, I try to leave the loans alone. But don't get me
Hmm.
wrong. You know them payday loans where you go get a loan.
Oh,
I got
yeah,
I mean
yeah.
I
That's
got
that's a.
caught in that. And when the lady threatened,
Mm.
well, she said, if you don't be here by 5 o'clock, I'm turning this over to the police. Man, soon as she hung up the phone, she said, "Oh, I just talking to you on the phone." I'm like, I'm like, yeah. I said, here. And you know what? That, when I paid that, let me see, I paid that, and I was like, I walked out. I got him. Because I had that's when I had a Jeep. I had a Jeep Cherokee. I got in my vehicle, and I said, well, I really couldn't afford it, but I didn't want them to, call the police on me. And I said, you know what? This is the last time, the very last time I'll ever do this again. I said, hey, I'm gonna have to sit at home all weekend. I said, which is not bad because my place always been quiet. So there's some things he really need to look in the mirror, and he got to figure out what he wants to do with his life. If he want to continue to go down this road, or you want to make a change, but you got to stop somewhere and pick out what you need and what you don't need. I know that's a long
Yeah.
question, but yeah,
No, no, that makes sense.
you got to pick out what you need and what you don't need.
Yeah. And I think leaving wealth and not worry. How do you stop the
Yeah,
cycle? Well, you just basically said taking action, doing something different than what was, taught to
yeah,
you. Taking action. That's the first step of how. And I think that if someone just takes action and say, "Hey, listen, I'm going to strive for something a little bit different than what was handed down to me," then that is an example of you stopping and breaking the generational curse. Because keeping it and going along with it is when you basically just sign up and go along with the plan. Well, this is how it always has been, so this is what we
yeah,
do because that's just the way it's been. By you stopping and taking action and doing something different, you're already making
yeah,
movement.
right, right.
Yeah, yeah. Wow. This has been a informative show tonight. I think we cracked and opened the code to a lot of different things. There's a lot of different I'll use this term. This is from my old life. There's a lot of best developed practices that people can take. Listening in, anybody listening in, they might have learned something new, and just continue to keep coming back because there will be more and more episodes such as tonight where we really get into the financial aspect of it. I see Miss SOS out there. She says, "Hey, Birdman."
Tell her I said hello.
What's going on if you're still out there,
Yeah.
SOS? All right. Well, thank you all so much for joining in. Birdman, what do we have going on? What you got going on in your world this week?
My book's at Amazon.com, Birdman313. On Instagram, Birdman31355. I'm on YouTube, which I just downloaded some. Well, no, I'm going to download some videos from this past week. It's youtube.com/author poet Birdman31355. I'm on Spotify under the coffee. Wait a minute, hold up. Coffee, wine, and
Wine.
words.
Is it
Yeah,
coffee?
I get it mixed up with you. I get it
Yeah.
mixed up with your coffee, wine, and words program, and you can see I have 11 videos on there, and you have to scroll through because it's different dates when I send it in. And um, tomorrow I have a reading on it's on Zoom. Journal of Creative Writing. They're out of New York. Saturday I have a Zoom reading. They out of Austin, and it's called Saturday Night Live. And so
Mm.
that's about the only thing I have going besides working on these videos.
All right, all right. And then next week,
Yeah.
you'll be here. Lights, camera, action.
Oh
You all
yeah.
set for
Oh
that?
yeah. I've kind of picked out. I was telling Diana. I said, I said I picked out what I'm gonna read, and she said, "Oh yeah." And I told her which ones I'm gonna read, and she was like, "Okay, okay,"
that's that's
Yeah.
what's up. Definitely looking forward to it. Alrighty. Well, it has been a great evening, of course, as always, and have a great week. I will talk to you soon,
Yeah. Yeah.
and yeah, I'll see you
Oh
next
yeah.
week.
Oh yeah. You have a great week too, man. Don't drink too much wine.
No, yeah, no, I had enough this past weekend. I'm good. The next time will be when next week on Wednesday. That'll be the next
Okay.
time.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, no. Let me take that back. I don't even know why I said that because Sunday I'm headed to another winery
Hey man.
on Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
just
yeah.
sampling. That's all.
Hey,
Nothing
you know
crazy.
what? I don't know, man. I'm thinking about it, but I don't know. It depends on how I feel or what I got going on in the city. I would like to go back to the beach since it's fall, but I doubt it. I doubt I go back down there.
Yeah,
Maybe in a couple weeks, and it is what it is.
right, right, right. It's yeah, it definitely is fall. It'll be October
Yeah,
next week. So yeah.
yeah, man.
Good
Time
night, Miss
time going
SOS.
by fast, man.
It is. It's the what it as they call it, the
Yeah.
quickening.
Oh yeah. Also, I do
Yeah.
have another reading come up. I just looked at my email. No, I don't. No, I don't. Forget it. It's next week. Next week.
I
Okay.
got
Yeah.
you.
I get them mixed up, man, because I have so many that I do, and oh, this is a live one in Austin, so I ain't gonna even worry about it.
I
Yeah.
feel you. All right, I'm going to get out of here and call it an evening.
All right, there, man. You have a good weekend. Yeah,
You too.
it's raining
And
here now, so it's gonna cool down.
yeah, we both got that because the
Yeah.
rain is here too.
Okay.
So next couple
Yeah.
days.
Yeah.
All right, so I'll see you next week,
Okay.
same
Hey, is it
place.
gonna be 7 or 8?
It's 8 p.m.
Okay. Okay.
8
Okay.
p.m.
Because I know when you said it earlier. you-
I probably said same place, same time because I'm so
Yeah.
used to
So I
saying
just
that.
want to make sure.
That's
Since I'm an hour behind, I know that'd be 7 o'clock out my time.
yes, it's gonna be 8 excuse me, it's gonna be
Okay.
8 p.m. all week
Okay.
long.
Okay.
All right.
Take
I'll see
care.
you next week. All right, see you. Have
Yeah.
a good night. All right, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. That was author Birdman 313. And we had a good show tonight. I think we really cracked the code and gave some good information out there for those of you out there who are seeking. So, got a lot of stuff coming up this week. So, I have Reading Between the Wines tour stop number 4 coming up on Sunday. Then I have Miss Queen Dawn Spirit coming in for Spiritual Sunday. So stick around, stay tuned. Also, check me out on my social media platform: Facebook, Instagram, X, YouTube, TikTok, D Live, Twitch, Daily Motion, as I will be continuously dropping new content and keeping everybody updated, especially in my stories, as far as the upcoming shows that we have starting. What's going on out there? Thank you all so much for joining. I appreciate you out there. Please do me a favor. Please hit that like button. Please share this video. Drop me a comment because I'm getting ready to get out of here soon, but maybe I'll see it later. But do whatever you could do to help support. Text a friend. We're getting ready to get out of here. I also have my masterclass coming up on October 5th, 12 p.m. Unwrapping financial peace, mastering holiday spending and emergency savings. So it's here. Regardless, it's here. The holidays will be showing up eventually. So what we need to do is prepare. For those of you who are not prepared, this masterclass is going to teach you how to be prepared. Get prepared. And master your holiday spending. Do whatever you need to do to make sure that all of your loved ones are taken care of as far as gifts, while also saving for that rainy day, and doing it with momentum so that after the bells stop ringing and after the people stop singing and after you take your little trees down and all of the other stuff that we do and all of the Christmas parties and all of that, after all of that's done, you'll be able to step into the new year 2026 with some confidence, knowing that you still have some money in the bank, unlike what some people do when they step into 2026 or they step into the new year filled with nothing but debt, credit card debt. They swipe up and they do all types of crazy stuff in the mad holiday rush the last week of December. And then they say, I'll just deal with it next year. And then when next year comes, they get smacked and hit in the face. And now you're dealing with depression. You're dealing with buyer's remorse. You're dealing with guilt. You're dealing with anxiety because you have no idea how you're going to make it through. And yet some of us do this year after year after year as if December 25th hasn't been on the calendar and it has not been in the same spot, same place, same day, year after year after year. If you want to avoid that type of stuff, please DM me, text me, reach out, email me, head on over to LaronGaines.com, find out some more information about my masterclass that's coming up, Unwrapping Financial Peace, Mastering Holiday Spending and Emergency Savings. Looking forward to that. On that note, I want to say thank y'all so much. I will see you when I see you. Stay tuned. Again, check me out on all of my social media platforms. Thank you very much to Miss SOS. Thank you out there. Thank you, Birdman313. Thank you to all of you out there. Shout out to my D-Live family, Twitch, and of course, YouTube, Facebook family, Instagram. Thank you all so much. I appreciate all of the love and support. And I will see you when I see you. Thank you all so much. Have a good night.
4, 3, 2, 1. And that's a wrap on today's episode of the 411 podcast and Reading Between the Wines, where growth is always on the menu, and every pour reveals a little more truth. The conversation doesn't end here. Have something to say? Want to weigh in on tonight's burning questions? Text us anytime at the official 411 podcast and Reading Between the Wines hotline at 609-200-1098. Stay plugged in across all social media platforms at Laren Gaines. We're live and in the conversation on Facebook, Instagram, X, TikTok, YouTube, D-Live, Twitch, and Dailymotion. Prefer to listen on the go? The audio version is streaming on most major podcast outlets. Until we meet again, take what you've learned, sip slow, speak truth, and remember, transformation starts within. Powered by the Black Diamond Consultations Network.